Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm so pleased to be here today. I'm Jennifer Lotz, the director of Gemini Observatory, and it's my great pleasure to give the update for the state of the observatory. Before I get started, I also wanted to echo Janice's words. We're incredibly grateful to our hosts here in Korea, to the organizing committee, and to Cassie for being such a great support to make this meeting possible. I particularly want to call out Nare Huang, whose idea it was to have this meeting here. I think that was one of the first things he asked me when I came on as Gemini director about 4 years ago. And so it's a great pleasure to see everyone here who's made the trip, and many thanks to everyone who's online. I know it's not easy to travel in these times, so we really appreciate the effort. And I also just want to say we're so pleased to have been partners with Korea for the last 4 years. They've been fabulous partners, and we're really looking forward to a bright future. So for anyone who's been paying attention for the last few weeks, you know that the landscape for astronomy is dramatically changing this decade. I, like many of you, have been staring in wonder at the new images coming down from the James Webb Space Telescope. As we look forward, in March in 2023, we can expect the next run of LIGO, the Gravitational Wave Observatory, with new sensitivity and better capabilities. At NYLab, we're anxiously awaiting the start of science operations with Rubin Observatory, which is just across the way from the Gemini South telescope. And looking further ahead, later this decade, we can expect significant progress on the extremely large telescopes, including the Giant Magellan Telescope and the 30-meter telescope, potentially part as with NYLab joining as a US ELT partner. We know that these facilities will dramatically change our thoughts on the universe, and that the next decade will bring a lot of exciting science in the areas of exoplanets, exosolar systems now, our own solar system, the study of compact objects, and follow-up of multi-messenger astronomy, and my favorite, galaxies, black holes, and dark matter. But Gemini has a really important role to play in these, and is really well poised to make transformational discoveries in these areas. So Gemini's strategy in this changing landscape is to play to our strengths. So we're going to maintain flexible and agile operations and enhance those operations such that we're making the best use of our observing time and available observing conditions. We're enhancing our adaptive optics capabilities so that we can correct for distortions in the atmosphere and make this really incredible high-resolution capability available on a nightly basis on both telescopes. And then you'll hear a lot over the next few days and in this talk and the next session about the new instruments that are coming online. So this will provide a diverse instrument suite that will support a diverse range of science for our individual PIs going forward. So it's been a long haul for the last few years, but it's been really exciting in the last few months at Gemini to see the momentum starting to build again. As travel restrictions are lifted, as we have wide vaccination rates of our staff and our host countries, as people are able to get back into the labs and just generally kind of get our mojo back, we've seen a lot of projects that have been delayed or on hold starting to pick up speed again, starting to get momentum. And all of these pictures are activities that have just happened in the few months. As you'll see, looking forward in the next couple of years are going to be transformational for the observatory. There's a tremendous amount of very exciting work being done. And I'm really looking forward to hearing in detail about each of these projects and people's science goals. Yep. So you'll hear more today from Rubin Diaz, sorry, Rubin, about our great instrument suite that's coming up. And I just want to highlight a few of these capabilities. So last week at the SPIE, this fabulous first light spectra was unveiled from our new GHOST spectrograph. This is going to provide a fantastic capability for high resolution optical spectroscopy in the south. We're not quite done commissioning this, but we expect to be able to offer it to the community sometime next year. Okay. Yeah, I just need to keep the cursor in the window.
Cursor needs to stay over there.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Don't do that.
Thank you, sorry all. Also being commissioned is the Genius IFUs. So we now have the low resolution IFU on the instrument at Gemini North, and we expect to be installing the high resolution IFU later this year. This exciting capability will also be offered to the Gemini community in 2023. Igrans 2, of course, is being built by Cassie here in this country. As the successor to Igrans, our very popular and successful visitor instrument at Gemini South. We'll be having staff heading down to Cassie later next week to check in on the progress. And we expect that that will be coming to Gemini North in about a year and a half. GPI 2. So one of those photos that I showed you was GPI in a shipping container heading down the mountain from Cerro Pachon. It arrived in Notre Dame not too long ago, where it's going to undergo a series of upgrades that are going to improve its contrast ratio and make a smaller inner working angle possible, and make it possible to probe exoplanets and planetary disks around even fainter stars. So those upgrades will take about a year as well, in which time it will be shipped to Gemini North and be available to the entire community. Scorpio, which is our planned workhorse instrument at Gemini South. This is an 8-channel imager and spectrograph. We'll hear updates on Scorpio at this meeting, but our plan is to have this available to the community, not just for time domain science, but all science, in time for the start of Rubin science operations. Of course, it's not just about the instruments. We're also revitalizing our software infrastructure. A key part of that for our community is providing sustainable and reliable data reduction package. So this is Dragons, which is a Python-based code. We've been making steady progress, and we'll be continuing to provide updates and releases over the coming few years. This is going to provide quick look science capabilities, improved calibrations, and an interactive science mode. You'll also hear about our science infrastructure getting ready for time domain astronomy, but also supporting all of our users. So the first of those is an enhanced set of proposal and observing tools called the Gemini Program Platform, tools called Explore and Observe. Those will be coming online in the next year or two. We're also providing a target of observation manager for time domain astronomy. We have a prototype available now, but an enhanced version will be available in time for start of the flood of time domain astronomy requests we expect with Rubin Observatory. And then last but not least, we're developing an automated dynamic scheduler, which will enable us to handle the flood of requests that we are expecting with the start of Rubin Observatory without misplacing or mistreating the non-time domain science. So we're really going to support the full set of science programs that we plan for the next decade with Gemini. So the next 3 years are going to be really transformative for the observatory. So it's really fantastic that you're all here this week to hear the exciting talks and capabilities that are being done now and are planned for the future. Because it's really important for us to be able to engage with our community, to make sure that people know about all the possibilities that are just on the horizon. We want to be able to train our users and have people, make the most and hit the ground running as these new capabilities come online. And we also just want to excite the community and get people enthused and thinking about what they can do, particularly in this dynamic landscape. So with that, I will end and just say the future is very bright. I'm very much looking forward to the next several days and hearing from all of you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Questions for Jen from the audience or comments? You can also look online. Anyone in the Slack? I'll give it a couple minutes.
Get rid.
We've had discussions about the complementarity between Webb and Gemini. And I think it's amazing partnership. Do you want to comment on a little bit about where in observational parameter space Gemini can contribute in the era of JWST?
Sure. Well, Gemini telescopes, of course, are still 8-meter telescopes.
Yep.
So
So at the diffraction limit, we're
they're
better.
there's some pretty powerful capabilities. I can see a number of exciting synergies with our current instrument and upcoming instrument suite, and also with our capabilities. I think in time domain in particular, I think it's important to remember that James Webb is a very big telescope. They'll take a long time to slew, and they'll have very limited chances for rapid follow-up of new time domain astronomy sources. So you could imagine Gemini and James Webb working together in partnership, where Gemini is the very rapid response, getting on the sky very quickly, following a source, and then perhaps after a few days, when the source is faded, it gets handed over to James Webb. Certainly our high resolution spectrographs are world-class and are not something that James Webb is going to be able to supersede. But you can imagine studies with Webb that are complemented by very high resolution studies, spectroscopic studies from Gemini. And that, there are many, many opportunities. I encourage people to think about those as we move forward. Shall we hand it over to Nare?
Yes, so
Yeah.
let me just check one more time online. Anyone online?
Not yet, no questions.
Okay, let's give another round of applause for our director, Jennifer Lotz.
Okay.